What's going down, D-Gens? Back for the week 3 preseason games. Let's just jump right into it, guys. Well, I guess let's recap last week because, got to be professional and all. So last week we do go 3-1. Not a bad week at all. I'll take it. Profits about 1.9 units after paying the VIG and all that kind of stuff. So always a good sign. I don't want to really spend too much time recapping it because it's preseason, so I don't know how much of it's going to really be valuable for the future, but just know we got profit there. Like I said, the first week 1, I think technically we profited like 0.2 units, but let's just say it was even. So for the season, or for preseason so far, we are a combined 5-4. I'm sorry, no, 5-3, and we are up 1.9 units. So that's always a good sign. As for week 3, have a couple of plays, guys, and I just like every week of preseason so far, the numbers have gone crazy. The lines just consistently move all the damn time, and maybe you kind of get a little lull for like a day or so where everything is just kind of sitting there. Usually that's like the middle of the week, but personally, as someone who is trying to make this the entire income for the year, all of my bets are placed, realistically, no later than like Tuesday morning. There's some times where something will happen or there's some news or something that comes in and I'll make a late bet, or even like a Sunday morning bet, if there's an injury news or something. But for the most part, I try to get all of my stuff in really, really honestly Monday. Sometimes I'll even jump on like Sunday night to play some stuff, and it's good for 2 reasons. So number 1, just if this is your first year doing this, you want to get them as soon as possible. And to do that, you really need to have your own information, your own data sheet, your own everything, because you need to jump on this stuff as soon as it comes out. And the reason for that is twofold. Number 1, a lot of times you will get the absolute best line first thing in the week, right? Like Monday morning when the books put their lines out, they have not been picked apart just yet. It hasn't been made sharp. And so you get the best number. Now, number 2, let's say that something happens and that number moves against you, right? And it's happened to me before. It's happened to me several times. It's going to happen to me again. What happens is if you have placed that wager on Monday or even Tuesday morning and something happens Thursday and that messes up the line and it completely goes against you, guess what? You have more than enough time to hedge backwards. There's several ways to do that. If you still like your number, you still like your bet, a lot of times you just really, bet half on the opposite side, right? So if your unit's $100, you can bet 50 on the opposite side, and that way okay, at worst I'm losing 50, at best I'm making 50 kind of thing. So that's one way to do it. Secondly, though, you can cash out in some instances. I don't always recommend that because you do lose a little bit on the cost, but also you can really just entirely 100% place another wager the other way around, right? And that way you kind of break even either way. And if you do it with another book, if you have like several rollovers you're trying to meet, you can do it with another book, and that way they both give you credit for the win or the loss. But as far as your bottom line, you're going to come out the same. But you need enough time to do that. So if you're placing a bet Saturday afternoon and then something happens Sunday an hour before kickoff, well, hopefully you see it, and secondly, hopefully you have time to get in there, and hopefully you can maybe beat the line move, whatever it is, or maybe even cash out your bet before it happens. So you want as much time as possible to get these things. So that's number 1, and I'm bringing all that up because there's some lines that I took this week, again, that have just completely moved. My number 1 for the week, and really what I jumped on first thing Monday morning, was the Colts. So it was the Colts versus the Bengals. This actually tonight, Thursday night, if this is when you're watching it. I got it Colts minus 2.5 at a minus 110, and that was Monday morning. Now, if you're trying to do that now, the line is completely moved. It's now Colts minus 6.5, and some of that's news, just people not playing on the Bengals side. Realistically, people just not giving a shit on the Bengals side. And there's really 6.5 is still not a bad number, right? You still expect them to win by a touchdown, especially in a game where the Bengals, the whole entire preseason, they've really only put up single scores for almost the entire preseason. I apologize, I'm kind of blanking on their week 1 stuff, but I know last week they put up 3 points. So, maybe they do a little better this week. The Colts defense is not as tough, but again, I'm not expecting the Bengals to go out and drop like 30 points. Also, there's a trend coming up, or that has been kind of taking place this entire preseason. These games or these teams that are joint practicing, a lot of times, and something like 85% of the time, those games go under the actual game, because what happens is both coaches and the teams get in what they want to get and see what they need to see during the week in practice. So when it comes time to actual game time, they don't feel the need to go all out and put everybody out there and show everything to the rest of the world and all that kind of stuff. So we see those scores typically being under, and that's really what would give me concern as far as the Colts minus 6.5, is that you may end up in a very, very low scoring game, and it's really hard to cover an entire 6.5 when, the over under may end up being something like 30. I believe it's like 34.5 right now, but who knows? I'm expecting that to be an under. But the play for this, though, if you didn't get the Colts early in the week, is actually going to be the half/game. So if you're not familiar with that, what does that mean? It means you need to pick the winner of the first half and then the winner of the full game. And the best way to do that, in my opinion, is just take the Colts to win the first half as well as to win the full game. And what that will do for you is basically going to give you the Colts money line at a minus 132, 134, somewhere in there. The reason for that and the kind of the rationale behind this bet is, number one, still fully expect the Colts to win the game, obviously, even more so now that they're 6.5-point favorites. But secondly, the first half, the Bengals, like I just said, they put up 3 points in an entire game last week. Burrow, I would be very, very surprised if he plays. And then also the backup is still hurt, still coming off an injury. So they're playing like their third, fourth, fifth string guys. Well, third and fourth string guys. I guess in this case, Rocky Lombardi is really getting some playing time in this. So guys, I don't expect to put up a whole lot of points. If anything, the Colts, they are going to be playing their starters, they say, at least through the second quarter, into the second quarter. So if anything, that first half should really, really be nice. And that's really, I would love to bet just the first half. The problem is the first half line is also minus 6.5. So you might as well just take the full game. But minus 6.5 for the full game. Again, not touching it. So give me Colts to win the first half, Colts to win the second half, and that should give you about a minus 130-ish money line, essentially, for the Colts. So that's number one. Number two is this Texans team. So the Texans are playing the Rams. Houston Texans, just to give you a quick breakdown, I'm looking for it on the chart here. Houston Texans are 60% win rate. They have been trying. They have been trying Stroud out there. As of right now, as of this recording, I'm not sure if he's going to get a lot of playing time in this third and final preseason game. But even if he doesn't, Davis Mills and Case Keenum are both at least serviceable, especially for the preseason. So that is who we're taking with a 60% win record over someone like the Los Angeles Rams. The Rams have a 36% win record, and that's saying that they've gone 2-0 this preseason. Now, that being said, Matt Stafford, again, don't really expect him to play. Stetson Bennett has not shown a whole lot. The games that they've won, they beat the Cowboys by 1 point on a last-second touchdown, and then they also won last week. It was a 14-9 or something like that, like very, very low-scoring games. So I don't expect them to put up a whole lot of points regardless of who trots out there. The Texans, on the other hand, may try to fine-tune some last things before the season starts, especially because they have a younger coach. Given the Texans -4, it was at -6.5 earlier in the week, so it's kind of gone, I guess, to our side if you want to grab it now. But -4 for the Texans. Next is the Jets. Jets are playing the Giants. One little tidbit that I wanted to share with you guys, not that he's been there that long, but Brian Daboll has never won the final preseason game as a head coach. So as long as he's been the coach of the Giants, they've essentially just kind of called the dogs off for that last preseason game. Some of that is just to avoid injuries, I'm sure, and maybe he's just seen enough. Like, he doesn't need to go put his guys out there this last week. He's more concerned with getting ready for the regular season. On the flip side, the Jets are consistently trying to win these games with an 80% win record in the preseason. That being said, give me the Jets on the money line, because right now they are 2.5 to 3 point dogs, depending on where you're looking. So your money line should be about plus 120 to plus 125. Another way to play that one, it would also be the under. I haven't jumped on that just yet, but again, these teams are joint practicing. So if you want to look at the under, I don't blame you. Lastly, we have the Ravens and the Packers. Now, the Ravens and the Packers, the play I like here is truly the under. But I'm going to tell you right now, I would do half a unit on the under and then a half a unit for the Ravens money line. So two things with this one. So number one, Ravens have just not really been trotting out the best stuff, right, for the preseason. Some of that may be that Harbaugh got kind of skittish from previous injuries, and he doesn't really have like that win streak to play for anymore. So he's not putting out a whole lot of effort, but he did win last week. The Packers, on the other hand, as far as what they have been doing, let me just get back to their spot here with Matt LaFleur. They're at a 42% win record. So, not really truly impressive. Jordan Love has gotten some playing time in these games. Now, who knows if he's going to play this week or not. Obviously, we know Lamar Jackson is not going to play. So, Ravens, Packers, knowing that these teams are both very good teams, or at least are looking to be very good teams, and are actually looking to do, some big things here this upcoming NFL regular season, I doubt you're going to see a whole lot of time from the starters. Everybody there is pretty much established. So, even the Ravens, Packers under 33, with the other half of that unit, though, going to the Ravens money line at plus 130. Packers, again, just traditionally don't put a whole lot of emphasis on the preseason, whereas Harbaugh does. Again, he hasn't been putting out a whole lot this year, so if you don't want to take that play, I don't blame you. But that being said, I completely expect the Ravens to win this game. I would not be surprised if the Packers really finish out the entire second half, or at least the fourth quarter, with guys that they fully expect to not make their team. So, again, Ravens, Packers under 33, Ravens money line plus 130. Both of those are half a unit. The other three are full units. And just to recap, that is Texans -4, Jets money line at about plus 120 is what we'll grade it at. And then the other last play is the half and half. So Colts first half, Colts to win the game at a -132. But thank you again, guys. I appreciate the support. I look forward to speaking with y'all as we get towards the regular season, and we'll start covering some of those plays next week. But thank you again, and I'll see y'all soon.